Today I want to share with you one of the most transformative books I've ever encountered, The War of Art by Steven Pressfield. This isn't just another self-help book. It's a warrior's manual for anyone who has ever struggled to pursue their dreams, create their art, or become the person they know they're meant to be. Pressfield is a fascinating character. He's an American writer who worked every imaginable job: marine, dock worker, truck driver, screenwriter, before finally breaking through as a novelist. And what makes this book so powerful is that it comes from someone who spent decades fighting the very enemy he describes. What I find remarkable about Pressfield is how he draws from both Western and Eastern philosophy. He references Plato's Phaedrus, quotes the Bhagavad Gita constantly, and creates his own terminology, which is really just a modern clothing for what's always been taught throughout human history. Think about it. The Greeks learned from the Egyptians, adapted their concepts, gave them Greek names, so their civilization could understand them. We do the same today. Pressfield takes ancient wisdom and packages it for the 21st century. And here's something fascinating. We're brilliant inventors of technology. We can calculate distances between galaxies, accelerate particles, simulate the universe's beginning. Yet when it comes to the human side, we haven't created our own symbols. We still use the Greek goddess Themis for justice, Aphrodite for love. We borrow symbols from the past because growing as human beings isn't our society's priority. But Pressfield, he arrived at the same conclusions as ancient philosophy schools through his own reflection and study of the classics. He's a modern man who, thinking independently, reached the same truths that philosophy has been teaching for millennia. Now, let's dive into the book itself. The book is divided into 3 parts. The first is called Defining the Enemy. Pressfield shares his daily routine with remarkable honesty. Every morning he wakes up, does his chores, organizes his space, and then at a specific time he sits down to write. No matter what, he says, I'll never fall into the trap of putting the urgent before the important. Otherwise, 1,000 urgent things will appear in my life, and the important thing, producing what I was born to produce, realizing my dream, giving my soul's message to the world, that gets pushed aside. This is the most important thing. I can't put anything ahead of it. And he's clear about something crucial. Every day I win against resistance, but I have no illusions. Tomorrow it will be waiting for me with a new strategy. Tomorrow everything starts again and it will be stronger. What is resistance? Resistance is Pressfield's term for everything that stops us from growing, from overcoming selfishness, from breaking free from our survival instincts and inertia. We humans are in transition from being animals with minds to becoming truly human. An animal operates on 2 instincts: survival and reproduction. Put a mind in that animal, and if it continues being guided only by instinct, it becomes a dangerous predator. But it hasn't reached the human stage, because being human means having objectives beyond merely surviving and procreating. So there's a passage, a transition to the human condition. And we must identify what we're fighting against. We're not fighting anything external. It's an internal enemy. And here's the terrible part. The internal enemy isn't clear to see. When you're fighting an external enemy, you can position yourself, adjust, strategize. But when you're warring against an internal enemy, you confuse yourself with it. Sometimes you hand the weapon to your enemy and say, "Go ahead, kill me." Pressfield lived his entire life fighting something he couldn't see. When he finally identified it, he gave it a name: resistance. Let me share the key traits Pressfield identifies. Resistance is invisible but palpable. It's a repelling force pushing you away from your work. Imagine you're a writer. You set up your computer on the table. Suddenly, that table becomes the hardest place in the world for you to approach. You find things to do in the kitchen, bathroom, at the neighbor's house. anywhere but that desk. Resistance is internal. We generate it and perpetuate it ourselves. It's born from a terrible fear, the fear of growing. This is the greatest of all fears. Don't think you didn't grow because of your boss, your parents, your spouse. You didn't grow because of a terrible fear of what growth demands. Resistance is insidious. It lies, seduces, intimidates, and betrays. It's multiform. Resistance won't say, "I'm resistance and I don't want you to commit." You wouldn't accept that. It presents itself with whatever face gives it the greatest opening. If you believe in astrology, your horoscope will say it's your bad day. If you believe in intuition, you'll feel you shouldn't leave the house. Resistance can wear any costume, it's that adaptable. Resistance is implacable. It's a destruction machine that never stops or tires. If you could break resistance down to a single atom, that atom would still be fighting and throwing punches. Resistance is impersonal. It doesn't know who you are. It's an impersonal law with one function, to contain you, so that by channeling willpower to overcome it, you become greater than you are. It's a step placed in front of you so you'll summon greater force and climb to the next level. Resistance is infallible. Here's a great tip. Whatever resistance most prevents you from doing is probably the best thing you could do with your life. It's a compass. That thing it's been blocking since the beginning of time. That's probably your calling. Resistance never sleeps. Fear never abandons us. It's a battle to be fought every single day. Resistance plays to win. Its target is the gift that brought you to this world, and its objective is to kill it. While you want to react, it will attack until you settle and merely survive. Then it leaves you in peace. Resistance operates in one direction only, from a lower sphere to a higher one. Want to abandon meaningful work to start a telemarketing firm? No problem, resistance will even pay for your ticket. But try to climb? That's when it fights back. Resistance is strongest at the finish line. Don't relax until you've reached solid ground. At the final stretch, resistance attacks with everything it has. Resistance recruits allies. This is fascinating. You start doing what you've dreamed of, dedicating yourself to volunteer work, beginning a self-knowledge process, whatever you've set out to do. Suddenly, people around you behave strangely. Your parents fight with you. Your spouse gets upset. Even your dog bites you. Your neighbor buys a drum set. There's a short circuit around you. Pressfield says unconsciously, they want to sabotage you, because it's terrible to realize they're being defeated by their demons while you're conquering yours. It exposes them. It shows that they could have won too. There's a tacit agreement to remain mediocre. Anyone who reacts is a traitor. Resistance and procrastination. Resistance never says, "Don't do this." It's subtle. Do it tomorrow. Next week. Is Friday really the day to start something new? Monday. Actually, better in the second semester. It's almost here anyway. Actually, this year kabbalistically isn't good for starting new things. Next year. The language is always. The idea is good, but not now. Soon, in a little bit, I'm going, and you never go. You postpone until the grave. Other forms of resistance. Sex, drugs, and easy gratification. Anything pleasant with short-term satisfaction is a feast for resistance. You can tell it's resistance when afterward you feel a terrible inner emptiness. You realize you fooled yourself again. Distracted yourself from your commitments. Problems and drama. People create problems they don't even realize they're inventing to escape doing what they must do. The citizen is sick, fought with the neighbor, with family, lost their job, started drinking, has a habit of sleeping late. They invent problems to flee from themselves. Victimization. With this disease, this problem, I can't do anything. They found someone to blame. This is manipulation. It's one of resistance's favorite current tools. Self-medication. Many modern diseases are created by marketing specialists. Panic syndrome, empty nest syndrome, often just existential anguish from not realizing our dreams. Instead of self-knowledge, self-discipline, delayed gratification, and hard work, people medicate themselves to not feel their soul's calling. Resistance can be defeated. The great works of humanity prove it. If someone hadn't conquered resistance, who would have created the Ninth Symphony? Who would have built Hagia Sophia? Who would have sculpted Moses? If one person conquered it, we can conquer it too. Pressfield says his life divides into before and after becoming a professional. The word amateur comes from love. But the idea that a professional works for money while an amateur works for love is wrong. An amateur is someone who lacks the seriousness, commitment, and responsibility that allows them to conquer resistance. An amateur takes their calling like a sport, a game, something secondary in life. This doesn't give them the determination, enthusiasm, and strength sufficient to conquer resistance. Amateur versus professional. Here are the key differences. The amateur does things for fun, when time permits. Imagine a poet who writes when they have spare time. A writer, someone doing social work. When I'm free, I do a little. Typical amateur behavior. The professional works for real, every day. Just as they work to feed themselves daily, their dream feeds their soul and must be daily too. It's a constant commitment. The amateur acts as a pastime, the professional by vocation. It's inexorable, the most important thing in their life. The amateur dedicates part-time, the professional, full-time. They devote all possible time to what they believe is noble and good. There's nothing more important than realizing their soul. The professional is patient. Resistance uses people's fantasies as its favorite trap. I'll write a book and become famous. Nothing will happen with your first book. Maybe you won't even find anyone to publish it. Several of Pressfield's books went straight to the trash without anyone reading them. But you will have conquered resistance. The professional seeks order. Order is fundamental, it favors mental order. Pressfield says he cleans even the doormat, so the Muses don't dirty their garments when they enter. He prepares the space, performs the ritual, and works until the scheduled time. He punches the clock. The professional doesn't accept excuses. If you yield today, you have double the chance of yielding tomorrow. If you stop for one day, there's a probability you'll stop for 2, 3, forever. You've given space to resistance, and it will come in with everything. The professional is prepared. They work in the real world with adversities and opportunities. They know perfection exists only in heaven. The professional doesn't show off. Although they have their own style, they know they're a bridge, a channel. Things happen through them, but they don't own the beauty. They create conditions for beauty to manifest through them. The professional distances themselves from their instrument. They know their physical, psychological, and mental being is a tool God lent them. They use it objectively, with distance. They identify with their consciousness and will. The professional doesn't take failure or success personally. Their consciousness exists outside personality. They validate themselves by being faithful to their work. They see criticism only to learn from it. The professional reinvents themselves. They know the muse may need them in different roles throughout life. Roles can be adapted depending on their age. The professional is a creature who doesn't give up. Remember that resistance's force comes from our fear. The professional reinforces focus on determined and implacable work, as certain as Earth's rotation. The company concept. One of Pressfield's brilliant ideas. Become you, Inc. Part of you is the boss. Another part is the employee. If you, the employee, is lazy, you, the boss, demands punctuality. If success makes the employee vain, You the boss brings them back down to earth. If failure makes you want to get depressed, you the boss puts you in your proper place. This distances you from emotional oscillations and creates a truly professional relationship. The higher realm. This is the shortest and most beautiful section. Just as there are forces of resistance pulling downward, when you manage to deal with resistance and have merit, there are also forces above that are allies. Pressfield speaks of his spiritual side, the confidence that something more exists, that allies itself with those who are humble, persevering, constant, and serious. The Muses. Professionalism is vital, but something mysterious occurs to help us. Power concentrates around us like a magnet attracts iron filings. Resistance comes from below, but creation comes from above, which can be an active and enthusiastic ally. The ancient Greeks personified intelligent forces of nature. The Muses were daughters of Zeus, power, and mnemosyne, memory. They were beings who inspired all arts. In Greece, they said no one produced anything of quality without the Muses' participation. The most beautiful creations come from something superhuman. If you have the merit of humility, perseverance, and constancy, you become worthy of something coming to you. Medieval alchemists said you sculpt the chalice, and the wine is deposited by the gods, because wine is divine exclusivity. The great essence you'll leave the world is a bridge between heaven and earth that you built through your humility, perseverance, and constancy. The bridge's merit is yours, but the product is divine. The invocation of the Muse. Pressfield performs a daily ritual. Before writing, he recites Homer's invocation to the Muses from the beginning of the Odyssey. It became sacred to him. Homer doesn't ask for merit or success, he asks for memory. O Muse, don't let me forget the hero's story. He asks that the song The Odyssey, which is really the meaning of human life, remain alive. That we don't forget this is symbolic. It tells the story of every human being. Ulysses' journey is humanity's journey through life. Being capable of crossing all adversities without profaning sacred work. Being capable, like Ulysses, of becoming nobody to survive. Of stripping off all vanities and superficialities, arriving at the shore completely naked with only the heart protected by a veil. Preserving only the heart, and thus finding one's essence, one's Ithaca. Sacred dreams. Pressfield shares beautiful dreams. He's had visions that guided him. Once he dreamed he was Largo, an experienced sergeant everyone relied on to solve an impossible problem. He woke realizing, who inspired this dream? Who told me I have experience to get my ship sailing? Another time, he dreamed of becoming an eagle, learning that things considered subtle are as real as what you touch. Like your dreams. The air is hard, solid, though it seems subtle, seems like nothing. He says someone was treating him like a little child, wanting to teach him life's ABCs. These sacred dreams became intimacies he treasures. Territory versus hierarchy. This is one of Pressfield's most profound concepts. There are two ways beings position themselves in the world. Hierarchy is most common. Like chickens have pecking order. You define yourself by who's above you and who's below you. Your place in the middle of that. But from an artist's perspective, hierarchical definition is fatal. The artist looks outward constantly at who's selling more, who's selling less, prestige, TV appearances. Never looking inward, knowing themselves, knowing what they have to say to the world. This type consults the market, not their soul. They profane the muse. Territory is the artist's orientation. You have a determined territory where you invest all your heart. That territory, your work, whatever you do feeds you. You invest all your love there. And when you need something, just place yourself in your territory, and it gives you everything you need. Arnold Schwarzenegger goes to the gym when depressed. Stevie Wonder goes to the piano. Even if the world ended and only they remained with their territory, they'd still go there. It's their territory which feeds them. Territory is like a bank where you invest energy and it returns energy to you. The fruits of work. Pressfield returns to the Bhagavad Gita. Krishna tells Arjuna the best thing in the world is working only for duty. And when fruit comes, dedicate it to the divine. If inspiration came from above and fruit comes, return it to the same place the work came from. The work's result is an offering. The work itself is the only nourishment needed. The satisfaction of knowing you served. This is the best way to escape ambition for results and avoid being determined by desire. Work for its own sake, not for fortune, attention, or applause, and offer it to God. If the work comes from heaven, why not return it there? Krishna says, "Give me the act purged of expectation and selfishness. Fix your attention on the soul, act and achieve for me. Do it in my name and give me the fruits." Pressfield ends with this powerful statement. Yielding to resistance won't just harm yourself. It will harm your children, me, the planet. Yielding shamas, those who created you with the sole objective of pushing the human race 1 millimeter forward on its long journey back to God. Creative human work is a gift to the world and everyone who inhabits it. Give us what you have. This book is philosophy adapted to our time in contemporary language, brilliantly done. Everything Pressfield discusses is profoundly philosophical, an adaptation of ancient wisdom for modern understanding. The message is clear. You have something unique to contribute to this world. Resistance will fight you every step of the way. But if you show up every day, do the work, honor your territory, and stay humble enough to receive inspiration from something greater than yourself, you'll create something meaningful. The war is real. The enemy is identified. Now it's time to fight. Give us what you have. The world is waiting.